beautiful souls. Welcome to another show on Living Naturally with Michaela. I'm your host, Michaela Jones, ND, and I am so excited to dive into a truly inspiring topic with all of you today. We are going to be talking about healing through art and creativity. Creativity is such a powerful way to connect with ourselves, process emotions, and find joy and release in ways that we may not always expect. And art gives us a voice when words might fall short, and it can open up new paths for healing and self discovery, as we will talk about today. So, my co host today is Marian Egan, and Marian is the visionary founder of Heart Art Magic. Marian has spent years guiding people on their healing journeys, and her unique approach brings together creativity, intuition, and self reflection in the most meaningful ways. We'll be exploring how art can be a therapeutic tool, practical ways to bring creativity into your life for stress relief, and how Marianne's healing card decks help people tap into their inner wisdom. So whether you are an artist or you just getting started or a doodler or whatever, or just simply curious about how creativity can support your well-being, we're here to show you how art can be for everyone and a beautiful part of your healing journey. So let's dive in and explore the magic of healing through art and creativity. Marianne, hi. I'm so happy to have you on again.
Oh, thank you, Michaela. It's lovely to be here, and thank you for inviting me. Yeah.
All right. So before we jump in, so I mentioned that Marianne has these awesome card decks. So I'd like to ask Marianne if she would like to pull a card for us for today. Let's see what is out there that we can all benefit from.
Absolutely. So let's see what comes up for everyone. So intuitively, I'm going to choose. Well, this is interesting. This is very interesting. This is called camouflage. Okay.
Ooh.
And the message is you can hide behind a mask and pretend to the outside world that all is okay in your world. Or you can claim a wonderful sense of freedom when you step out from behind your camouflage. Why do you sometimes feel the need to hide? What purpose does it serve? Are you hiding from yourself right now or somebody else? There is no comfort in your camouflage. It is easier and less painful to unmask and have a good look at what you need to see. Clear out the wound you are living in, and your body and mind can begin to heal.
Wow. Oh, wow. That is an excellent card for today. I often will camouflage myself. It's like there can be all kinds of things that are going on in my life, and most people will never know it because, camouflage. So,
yeah, it's when I was painting that, I was saying, what on earth is this all about? And that's what it looked like. When I saw it, I said, okay, that looks like a camouflage jacket,
Yeah.
So that's why it became camouflage.
Wow.
Yeah. And there's a frequency number with that, if you'd like me to give that out.
Yeah, please do. Go ahead and give the frequency number.
Frequency number is 777-113-1313. And by tapping that number into your body, you're installing the frequency of camouflage, which allows you to let it go.
Wow. And we all have something we need to let go.
Yeah.
All right. So for those of you who are listening and you may not have seen me chat with Marianne before, she has these awesome healing card decks. And the pictures on the cards are all her paintings that she did from intuitive painting. And each of those pictures also have a frequency that goes along with it. Now, I know many of you have heard me talk about frequency and sound therapy and things of that and vibration and everything. And this is just another way that you can use frequency for healing, except Marianne has combined not only the frequencies, but also the art and the creativity. And that's what we're here talking about today, because it's a very unique combination that I think we all can benefit from. So when you hear us talk about the cards, know that this is something unique that Marianne has created which you can find at Heart Art Magic. And it has all of this information. It has the art, it has the sayings, and it has the frequency number that goes along with it, so you can combine all of that for some really good self-healing. And I think it's very important for us all to have different tools in our tool belt for self-healing. And I find that this particular mode of self-healing is something that anyone can use at any time, and that's very good. It's great when you can chat with a professional. It's great when you can chat with a friend, or do other types of modalities. But sometimes just being able to have something that you can do on your own in a moment when you're feeling down or you're feeling like there's something amiss, I think this is a great tool to have in your tool belt. And that's part of what we're going to be talking about today is art in our self-healing. Even outside of the card decks themselves, we can use art as a way to help us to be able to self-heal and to be able to express ourselves even when we are not professional painters. So that's what I want to get to. So let's just go right into the first talking point we have today, and that's basically the power of art um, as a form of self-expression. So I know you guys always hear me talk about how, the whole mind body connection and how everything is connected. And usually when you have some sort of physical issue going on, there is an emotional anchor with that. And if you want complete whole health and complete healing, you not only have to deal with the physical issues, but the emotional issues as well. Sometimes people have a hard time being able to express those emotions. And they think that in order to express it, you actually have to talk to someone or you have to express it verbally. But that's not true. There are other ways that you can express those emotions and those things that are challenging you, when you can't express it in words. Art can serve as an outlet for release and self-expression, and for actually exploring your inner feelings as well. Because as Marianne can attest to, sometimes when you just start drawing without even thinking about it, you'd be surprised at what comes out, because that is what's inside coming out onto the paper. So Marianne, would you like to share your point of view on this particular point?
Well, exactly what you said. The main thing is to remember your subconscious knows every single thing about you, right?
Yes.
And you don't need to know what you want to express. You might be upset about something or someone or some other or whatever, or you don't even know why you're upset. But your subconscious knows what it is it needs to release. So just by playing with color, taking a pencil or and paper and just doodling, or bringing a line for a walk, and just letting it come out onto paper. There's an artist, there's a childlike artist in every person, right?
Mhm.
Because when we were children, we didn't think about, is this going to look well? It's just, it is what it is. We just
Right.
took out crayons or whatever it might be, and we played with crayons or coloring pencils or whatever. So there is an artist in everyone, and you don't have to be good at it. It's not about making a perfect picture. You saw that card, that was just an expression of what
Yeah.
I was feeling at the time, and so your subconscious knows, and the healing comes from within.
Yeah.
So you don't even have to know what it's about or how to do it. I was last week I was doing a group healing session using my cards, and this lady said she had written down, because I got everybody to write down their intention. What's your intention for this healing? And everybody wrote their intention. Her intention was an emotional issue, and she wrote down the emotional issue. And then she said, gosh, Marian, when I tapped in the frequency numbers, she said the pains in my legs went away. so, so there's a direct reflection of how the emotion had a connection to the physical pain in her legs. And once she released the emotional issue, the physical pain was eased and released.
Yeah.
So it's amazing how it works. And that's without her painting. But here's a story. I can tell you story after story because I'm, so many years doing this. But I had a practitioner come to me one time, and she had cancelled all her clients because she felt I can't even see anyone. She was really under pressure at home, and she was saying her husband was telling her what to do. Her son lived at home at the time, and he was telling her what to do, and
Mhm.
she just felt totally, smothered. And she just got to a stage where she just couldn't function. She couldn't work. So she came to me, and I did whatever I normally do in my balances, and then I said, okay. I set up a painting station. And I said, now I want you to paint. And she said, no, I can't paint. I said, all you're going to do is play with the color. And, Michaela, I paint with my hands. So I actually put my hands into the paint. So
Mhm.
I feel it as well as see it. So I said, all you're going to do is put your hands in the paint and you're going to play like a 5-year-old or a 3-year-old, whatever you just.
Right.
And she said, okay, she said, well, just tell me what to do. And I said, no, no, no. I said, I'm not telling you what to do. You're just going to play.
Right.
Do you know what, Michaela? What she painted looked like, the tree of life.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
That's
yeah.
what it looked like. The background was green. The tree was purple. And it looked, it was really such an expression. And it only took a few minutes. Like, it doesn't take long. But I took a picture of the painting.
Mhm.
And when you can expand your phone and it kind of enlarges,
Yeah.
I said, Esther, look. When you sign your picture, well, I signed mine down the bottom right-hand corner. And down in the bottom right-hand corner, there was a painting, a profile portrait of her dog, Prince, who had passed. And she missed Prince like crazy.
Right.
And here was, and now it was so tiny, you couldn't see it in the painting, but you could see it when I expanded
Right.
the.
Right.
I said, Princess just signed your photo. And she said, did I paint that? I said, yeah, that came from your subconscious. Well,
Wow.
she went home as happy as Larry, right? and and she went back to work. It just lifted. She was just so delighted. And that painting hangs in her practice room now as well. And so,
Wow. Wow.
yeah,
That's great. Yeah. As you said, the subconscious knows everything. And when we can tap into that, it can also help us understand what we need in that moment for the healing we need at that time. But
exactly.
but it's important for us to be aware and understand that about ourselves, and to understand, yeah, absolutely, that the healing comes from within. I do a lot of energy work, and the de facto uh, title for that is energy healer. And I hesitate using that title because I always say, I don't heal anything. You heal yourself. Only
Absolutely.
thing that I do is help you get to the point where your body can tell you what you need in order for it to heal itself. And that's the whole point of naturopathy, which is my main modality, is that is believing in the body's innate ability to heal itself when you give it the tools it needs. And sometimes understanding the tools it needs is being able to go within yourself so it can tell you those things. And that's where, all of this, being able to understand what your subconscious is telling you, where that comes into to focus here. So I think this is a very, very important topic,
Yeah.
because the art is a good way to be able to just kind of go within and say, okay, what's going on?
Yeah. And when you do paint like that, if you just play with color, you're now facing, it kind of what's inside comes to the surface. So look at the last 4 letters of the word surface.
Face.
Face. So now you can face what it is that you've been holding
Yeah.
inside. You're no longer holding it inside your body. It's now outside of your body. So you've expressed what it is you need to face. And all you have to do is look at it and say, I'm happy to let that go.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's so simple, it's really simple, but it's just knowing, when we kind of give people the tools, as you say, the body has the innate intelligence to heal itself. All we have to do is kind of step out of our own way and let the body do that itself. It
Yeah.
knows what to do if we allow it, when we allow it, when we allow it.
Yes, when we allow it. Yes, exactly. Yeah, and that's the whole thing too, is that when we allow it, because sometimes we get in our own way and
Mhm.
we prevent the body from doing what it needs to do because we're in our own way.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing too, if you think about, and somebody might say, well, how do I know if I'm in my own way? So if you look at the discomfort that you're feeling, notice where it is, notice the intensity of it. And people can do this even now while they're, listening and watching. Notice the intensity of it. And the intensity, mark it out of 10. If 10 is the worst scenario, mark it out of 10. And watch what happens if you say to yourself, I give myself permission and I allow my body to bring the ease that I want back into my entire system. So when you say that, you're giving instruction to your subconscious that you're allowing, and you're giving yourself permission, and you're going to let the body do what it normally does. And just by sitting back and relaxing and just listening to what we're saying, this is what can happen as you sit back, relax, and just let it happen.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, well, which brings me to our next point. We've already started to kind of go down that path already, but creativity can also be a path to self-discovery. As we've been talking about, sometimes being able to go within to kind of see what's there and what needs to be addressed can be a very daunting task for some people because they're not sure how to do it, or something's holding them back. And I feel that being creative not only can help you understand what's going on inside, but it can also help you be able to express what's going on inside as well, and be able to express, for lack of a better term, your true self. I think, the card that you pulled for us was camouflage. I think we all live a life of camouflage in some way or another. And when we always have the mask on, if you will, we're hiding our authentic self, or we're suppressing certain things or certain parts that we don't necessarily want others to feel. And that suppression can cause tension in the body. It's just another version of stress. So that suppression can cause tension in the body. And I feel like being able to be creative can allow you to express some of your inner self without actually having to like go out and like just tell everybody everything that's going on, or everything that's on your mind, because not everybody wants to hear that. But
Yeah.
you can use that to express what's, your true self, or what's going on within you. And if you start doing that creativity, I think it also kind of opens us up to discover even more about ourselves that
Mhm.
we may not know that was really there until we start being creative in some way.
Well, do you know what? That's so true. And you've just sparked a memory. That's what happened to me during one of my paintings. Okay. So if you like, I can share that with you.
Yes, please do.
Yeah. So and I was going back a good few years, but I was listening to a meditation tape, and it was a drumming, it was the sound of a
Mhm.
drum. So I was listening to the meditation. I meditated for about 15, 20 minutes, and then I started painting. And because I had been listening to the sound of the drums, actually, here it is here. Yeah. So this is the painting I did, which is like a drum. And
Uh-huh.
this is the vibration of the drum. right, coming out. And Michaela, when I was finished, can you see just here, these two yellow pieces
Yes,
here?
I can
Right?
see that.
Yeah. Well, you can't actually see what's in the middle, but in the middle, I put a little red dot here and another little red dot here, right? And I looked at it. And then I just felt, oh my goodness. I could see two heartbeats. The two red dots represented two heartbeats. Now, this brought me to my knees, because it was at that moment I had a knowing, just a knowing that I was a twin.
Mm.
And this was my heartbeat and my twin's heartbeat.
Mm.
And I called this vibration of life. And, you know, I said to my mom, when I got the opportunity to speak to her, now my mom nearly lost her life when she had me. And
Mm.
I have a brother and sister who are a year older than I am, and they're a set of twins. Mom had 5 sets of twins.
Wow.
Right? Now, only one complete set actually lived, which they're a year older than I am. My eldest sister is a twin, but her twin died after 3 weeks. So, do you know, after that moment, Michaela, I always felt lost. I always felt lonely, even though very happily married, 3 beautiful children, great husband. We're married 50 years. We still like and love each other. But before this, I used to felt lonely. Once I realized that was just the discovery that I made. And after that painting, I never felt lonely again.
Wow. Wow,
And,
that's an amazing story.
and that
Wow.
was my discovery. And I didn't know. And I didn't know what it was I didn't know until I did that.
Wow. Wow. Well, and and that's very interesting too, because when you think about all of this too, from a naturopathic and physical standpoint as well, being creative can also help regulate the nervous system, and it can also help ground you in the present moment. And all of that, I think, plays into like the reduction in stress, and not, you said you didn't feel lonely anymore. So that was almost like a grounding aspect for you.
Yeah. Yeah. That realization of, I knew there was something missing, but I didn't know what the missing bit was. And I couldn't understand it because, hubby's so good to me, and yet I felt this loneliness.
Yeah.
And once I made that realization, then it was like, it was an acknowledgement of, yes, there was a significant other with me, but is no longer with me, but energetically now is there, which is
Yeah.
great.
Okay. Awesome. So that's so I and I've already once again I've already started going down that path with the regulating the nervous system and reducing stress and all that stuff. So let's talk about a little more practical aspects
Yeah.
of of art and creativity, and the therapeutic effect that art can have on not only stress but anxiety as well. I find that, so I like to do color books. I like to just I'm very, in many ways I'm very analytical. I have a very analytical mind, but I'm also creative. But my creativity, I feel like still is kind of in a box. So I like to color, but I like to color like dots and squares and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know, but I find that when I'm stressed and anxious, being able to do that helps calm me, and reduces that stress and reduces that anxiety, you know and I feel like, if I'm highly emotional in the moment too, it also helps bring that emotion down as well. It
Mm,
doesn't change the situation. The
no, but it
situation
changes.
is still there, but it changes me
Hmm.
and my reactivity to the
Yeah.
situation. Has that been your experience as well, or with your clients?
Yeah, absolutely. Because it seems to calm down your central nervous system.
Yeah.
Because when you are like, and I love if I'm going away or in a car or something like that, I'll have my coloring pencils with me, and something to color in. Or even if you don't have anything to color in, just bring a pencil for a walk and then just color in all the shapes that
Yeah.
you've drawn. But yeah, it does. It's very calming, and it's uh, it's like you get lost because you're not thinking. It takes you out of the thinking about what's wrong, and you're
Mhm.
focusing on what you're doing, and then you've got something to show at the end of it. And you just, and it can be something you can leave down, go away, cook the dinner, come back, pick it up again. It's not something you have to do all in one sitting. It can be
Yeah.
5 or 10 minutes. It doesn't have to be an hour or 2 hours. It can be just a few minutes. And if you do that periodically, you're definitely allowing the body to just focus on playing with color, because the color will energize the energy centers in your body as well,
Yeah.
and it aligns your body. It's amazing how it works.
Yeah. So
Absolutely amazing.
so I'm curious. I'm curious from your experience. Have you found that when people are experiencing certain types of emotions, they tend to be drawn to certain colors?
Yes. Yeah. That's really, really true. Because I often say to people when they're telling me how what's the pain in their body, I'll say, well, what color is it? And they kind of look as if say, what do you mean, what color is it? But instantly they know what the color is, like their
Mhm.
body. And it's like the color drops into their head, and then they'll say whatever color it is. And say, well, okay, if it wasn't that color, what if you were to change the color? And even in changing the color in their mind will actually lessen the feeling in their body. So your brain has the opportunity to change. It's like, the tuner on what we used to have years and years ago, tuning the frequency of a
Yes.
radio, if you're as old as I am. But yeah, so changing the color can change how you feel and actually take the intensity down. So if you don't like the way you're feeling, you say, well, okay, what if I was all purple, or if I was all the lovely turquoise color you're wearing? So, and every color has an energetic effect on your body. So
Mhm.
by you changing the color in your mind, you're changing how your body will feel. So again, it gets back to your body knows what to do
Yeah.
when you allow it and just give it some instruction. Another thing I kind of say is the self-command, and say, okay, stop. I've, I've had enough. I'm not doing this to myself anymore. Because we do, unfortunately, without knowing, we do create the disharmony within ourselves by our thinking. So
Yeah.
if we create it, we can uncreate it too, which is great. But knowing that is crucial.
Yeah. I think one of the things that we as a society and as a people are often missing is self-compassion. We will tend to have compassion for others when others are hurting, and we will reach out and we will help them if they ask for help, but we don't extend that same compassion to ourselves.
Yeah.
And I honestly believe that just being able to do some sort of art or being creative in some way is a way of showing ourselves some compassion as well. It's given us the opportunity to just say, you know what, I'm worth it. I don't need to be in all this stress. I have things that I need to let go of, and using the art to be able to do that is showing ourselves that compassion that we would show others. So
Yeah.
it's like we could walk up and give someone a hug if they were hurting, but we
Mhm.
don't give ourselves a hug. I think art is a way of giving ourselves a hug. I know that sounds hokey, but that's just kind of how I feel about it.
Well, it is, because you really do get lost within yourself when you're engrossed in, and even when you see it in a child, like a young baby is playing with a toy or something, they become so engrossed. And you could call them and talk to them, and they don't listen. Not that they don't listen, they don't hear you because they're so focused on what they're doing. And that's what art does. It allows you to focus. And when you focus, as you were saying about the tension in your body, it just lightens and loosens.
Mhm.
And you just feel, it's like taking a deep breath. You're
Yeah.
breathing more easily, and you're feeling so much more relaxed when you do that. I remember when there was a time when I was in a serious amount of pain, but I found that when I was painting, I was focusing on the painting and not on the pain I was in, you know.
Mhm.
And that in itself was so healing. It allowed me escape from my body, onto what I was doing.
Yeah. Yeah. So So let's talk now a little bit about art as a tool for personal empowerment. We've talked about how, using art and doodling and creativity as a way to go within and to see what the subconscious needs us to know to help our bodies. I think, though, that we can extrapolate that even more in that art can also be a tool for our personal empowerment because I feel like when we know who we are, we know what's inside. I think that art can help us also find our purpose and to help us reveal our authentic self. And when we reveal our authentic self, we communicate, better. We communicate our needs better to other
Mhm.
people rather than keeping everything inside. So I think those are all empowering aspects. So I think art itself can be used as a tool for
Mhm.
personal empowerment. So what do you feel about that? Are you in agreement with that?
Oh, absolutely. And, I'm so fortunate to have brought my images into a card deck because I actually use them for guidance and direction. I choose I choose 4 cards a day, every
Mhm.
day. Now, that's the odd day that maybe one day out of 7, I don't get to do it. But it's my first morning ritual is sitting down and writing out what my intention is. And then I choose the cards. And you know what, Michaela? Even though I've made them and I've created them, I'm in awe of the messages that I read based on the intention I have set.
Mm.
It is incredible. But for the direction, for the guidance, and it's given me. I remember one time, and I don't know whether I said this to you the last day. A good friend of mine was saying about, "Oh, Marian, I journal. I journal every day." And I just said, "Colette, I couldn't do that if you paid me. I couldn't do it. But here I was. I created my cards. I didn't know how they worked, so I had to figure out, well, how do they work? So I took an A4 journal and I put down number 1 and I wrote down my intention. And then I chose a card and I wrote down card number 1 was whatever it was and the frequency number. And I did that. Michaela, I'm on journal number 6. And I pulled over 4,000 and so many hundred cards for myself on my cards deck journey. From day 1, I literally did this day after day after day. Because at the time I was in so much despair
Mhm.
because of my mom's illness and my daughter's illness that I wanted to see, well, how do they work? So for me, it's like, even for me, it's like done for you. But my paintings are done for me and I use them as a guidance. And I am blown away. Even this afternoon, I was working with a client and uh, I laughed as she laughed because her intention was so my cards were so spot on based on the intention that she set that the two of us just broke our heart laughing, saying, if you designed it, you couldn't have designed it even the way it turned out. It was just amazing what came out for her.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. It's a great tool to have, as you say, having a tool without having to talk.
Yes. Yes.
Art is your way of speaking without words.
Yes. Yes. And that reminds me, is that for those of you who are listening, even if, we're talking about the cards because, Marianne does the cards and I just find her cards so amazing. She sent me a deck of her cards and I just love them, love them. And so if you get a chance to get them, I absolutely recommend them. And you know me, I don't ever recommend anything I don't try myself first. But even if you don't have the cards, though, there are other ways that you can use art as a tool in this way. Um, Art journaling, we talked about journaling. You don't have to write in a journal. I know a lot of people have a hard time journaling because just the whole concept of journaling just, makes them just like, oh my gosh, I don't know what to journal about. You can like just doodle.
Yeah.
You can doodle. Just it doesn't have to be, paints. It doesn't have to be, colored pencils, and it doesn't have to be you have to draw an object. You can just doodle. It is a way of letting out what's inside come out in a way that can be expressed even when you're not using words. Okay, so it doesn't have to be anything formal. You know, grab a sticky note and just start doodling. Grab a spiral notebook, get a new page and just start doodling. Use colors, draw symbols. It's like draw. I know some people that like to just like draw like the never ending circle. I call them the never ending circles where they start like in the middle and just kind of keep going out and
Okay.
out and out. And out. So draw circles, draw squares. As I mentioned, I'm a very analytical person. And so my art, what I call art and creativity, is still very structured, but it's still expressive and it's still authentic to me.
Mhm.
So what I think of art may not be the same thing as what someone else thinks of art. And that's the whole point, is that it's about you. It's not about someone else or what someone else does or what the definition of art is in somebody else's expectation. It is about you. And you can do it any kind of way you want to. You know, Other ways that you can express art. It doesn't have to even be like written art, because this show is about art and creativity. There are other ways to be creative. Some people like to sing and hum. Occasionally, I like to. I have one of those steel drums. Occasionally, I like to, beat on my little steel drum. Um, I sew sometimes, I like to construct things with fabric. There
Yeah.
are different ways that you can be creative. And that creative process allows you to express those pent up emotions that are inside. It allows you to let go of the stress and the tension that you're holding in your body. Because when you're in the creative zone, you're not thinking about all of that other stuff. You're just being in the moment. And so, using that creativity to help you be in the moment will do wonders for you.
And being in the moment, I often say to people, it's being in the now. Okay. NOW. Spell that backwards.
WON.
So when you're in the now and the present moment, you've won. Just being yourself right here, right now, and you're winning,
Yeah.
And yeah, another thing you said about tension, and I know when we tighten our muscles and tendons and ligaments, we are going to create pain. So T is for tension. And what do you get when you put a T at the end of pain?
Paint.
Exactly. Yes. When you do that, you're releasing the tension. But I've seen it. Personally, I've experienced it, so I can speak from personal experience. But in my clinical practice, I have seen. Oh gosh, it's such a pleasure to see somebody who has been in so much pain, whether it's stress or anxiety or physical pain, and to see that leave them by them just having some time out for themselves. They're not really knowing what they're doing. They're just doing. And it's in the doing that the letting go happens. Because they've given themselves the permission They're allowing themselves to step out of their own way. Your body knows what to do. Just let it do it, what it's designed naturally to do. And it can happen when we allow it. Being in the now is the best gift. The present moment is the best gift you can give yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. I absolutely agree. So, yeah. So if you're interested in maybe exploring, creativity and art as a way to, to help yourself in your own personal empowerment, or even stress relief or whatever, start small. Find what feels comfortable, because, I've said it before and you'll probably hear me say it a lot more often. It's a journey, not a destination.
Mm-hmm.
So the way that you express yourself is also a journey and not a destination. The way that you express yourself now may not be the same way that you will express yourself later. And as you start in one spot, as you do it more often, you might find yourself expressing yourself in other ways. So,
Mm-hmm.
you can start with something small, well, I'm just going to draw some circles and then color them in because that's, what feels comfortable for you. The next thing you know, you're like turning those circles into animals, or, or you're, putting in more colors or whatever. It's about you. It doesn't matter what it looks like or what comes out of it. It's about you. And it's not something you actually have to show anyone else. You don't have to worry about if it's perfect. I admit I still struggle with perfection and I've been on the track to embrace good enough, you know, and I think many of us get into the perfectionism trap as well. And so even the things that we're doing for ourselves, we feel like it has to be perfect and it has to be a certain way. And art and creativity, in its essence, is that it doesn't have to be perfect and it doesn't have to be a certain way. It
No,
just is. It is what comes out. And I
it
think that can be very freeing.
and it is what it is.
It is what it is. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. And
And so,
sometimes I have a little, it's a 3 inch by 3 inch little notebook, and
mhm,
that's where I doodle. I'll just
yeah,
doodle and put it down. It takes a couple of minutes, and I could be while the kettle is boiling or something to that effect, you know. And it's my go-to. It's just if I have a few minutes, that's what I'll do. Love
yeah.
it. Just allow yourself to be. We're human beings, not human doings.
Exactly, exactly, exactly. So, so just, grab a piece of paper, grab a blank notebook, anything, and just start whatever feels comfortable with you, whether it's doodling or, colored pencils or pen or drawing shapes or symbols or whatever. Just start someplace. It doesn't matter. This is all about you. It is all about you. And you'd be surprised at what you would discover about yourself once you start doing that. You will end up, trust me on this one, you will end up blowing your own mind.
I like it. I love it.
Which actually brings me to the next point, which is about being consistent. It's like, so what's the point of a tool if you don't use it? And just like anything else, a tool has to be developed. And the only way it's going to be developed is if you use it and then you're consistent in using it. One of the things that I often will tell my clients is to start like creating, some people call it a ritual, but it's like start creating like your routine, like have a morning routine. Okay, that morning routine will help you to be able to start your day and be able to set, like you mentioned before, set your intention for the day. And being able to do that routine actually helps your day go better,
Mm-hmm.
whatever that routine is.
Yeah.
But the routine isn't going to work. You can sit there and you can write out a good routine, but it's not going to help you if you don't use it.
Yeah.
So you have the routine written down and it's on your list and you have it, like on your computer or, on your mirror or whatever, but you're not actually using it, it's not going to help you reach the benefits. So you actually have to use it. So I would like to express and emphasize the many benefits of integrating art and creativity as a regular part of your self care routine. Okay. And, I talk a lot about self care as well. And I think many people don't take enough time to take care of themselves, particularly women. Just our whole role typically has been one of nurture and taking care of others, to the
Hmm.
point that we don't necessarily take care of ourselves. But it's very important for us to take care of ourselves as well, because the old saying is you can't fill from an empty cup. So you have to take that time to fill up your own cup. And I would argue that being able to find some creative time, we know, it's like being able to find quiet time helps, in doing things for self help. But I would argue that just finding time to also be creative can also help you with your self care as well. So, what are your thoughts on that?
I would highly second that because, when I see now what I have been able to create, uh, it sometimes blows my mind as how it has helped me, because I was always one for um, running after other people. But now, in the last number of years, I've realized how important self care is. It's my number one: self care, self love, and then sharing sharing as you care. Um, yeah, because when you've got that self care, you have the energy, the vitality to take care of others.
Yeah.
I, to my detriment, what happened to me many years ago was I was giving to the point then that my needs, I was no longer a mother, a wife, or a practitioner. And my children and my husband had to take care of me because I couldn't
Mm,
take care of myself.
yeah.
So it's so important. And it's not being selfish, it's being self full.
Yes.
Because as
Yes.
you say, when you fill up your needs, then you're overflowing with vitality and energy, and then you can give to others. But give it to yourself first.
Yeah. Yeah. I often say that self care is not selfish.
No.
And I think more people need to hear that,
Hmm.
and we need to embrace that, because I think that we truly believe that it's selfish for us to take time for ourselves, and it's not true. It actually, if we don't take times for ourselves and we don't take the opportunity for that self-care, it runs us down, and then we become sick, and then we cannot do all the things that we want to do, or that we need to do, or that we're supposed to do, and then others have to take care of us, and then it creates this vicious cycle. So,
Yeah.
so as you said, is that taking care of ourselves fills us with that vitality we need to
Yeah.
do the things that are set in front of us to do, for us
Yeah.
to be able to do our purpose, if you will.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's primary. It really is primary. And taking that on board is critical if you really want to live a happy life,
Yeah,
because there's nothing as bad as trying to give when you've nothing left to give. It's just not
yeah,
possible. So
yeah,
it's not selfish, self-full.
yeah. I have a similar story, and I've shared it before with with people who have followed me for a while. They're aware of it, but I went through a similar circumstance where I was running a business, I was taking care of a family, and I was just doing everything for everyone else. And even as a practitioner, I knew better, but I didn't do better.
Yes.
And eventually I had my own health issue that took me down for a while, that needed to be taken care of. So I literally had to step out of everything to take care of myself first to get my vitality back up in order for me to be able to, do for my family and help my clients and help others. And so it's very important that we recognize that we do need to take that time for self-care. And since this show is about art and creativity, expressing ourselves through art and creative endeavors is a way to care for ourselves. It really is. It really is. And it should not be discounted because it really is a way to help us care for ourselves.
And it works.
And it works, yes. And not only does it help us it does so many things. It not only helps us to express our feelings, express our emotions that are being trapped and suppressed. It also helps us to, understand more about who we are, which also helps us to come more into our purpose.
Yeah.
It also helps us to calm the nervous system. So on the physical side of things, it helps calm the nervous system, which, helps reduce stress, which helps, which we all know stress is like the root of most of chronic issues. So think about this. If you're suffering from a chronic condition that is most likely stress induced, because stress is usually the underlying cause. If you're suffering from a chronic condition, just being able to sit down and doodle and art can be a way to help you to deal with that physically chronic issue. Think about that for a moment. And if you have a tool as easy as putting pen to paper, why would you not use that?
Yeah. Well, that would be a nice challenge to set for somebody who's going through that right now, is just do it and watch what happens.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, when you think about it, okay, it's like especially with chronic issues, because I deal a lot with clients with chronic diseases and chronic issues.
Yeah.
Being able to use art and creativity can help you express the anxiety you feel about the condition itself.
Yeah.
Okay, as a starting point. Okay, so you know that there's a lot of frustration that's surrounding it. There's a lot of anger. There's a lot of emotions that goes along with just the condition itself.
Yeah.
Okay, so being able to get that out in a way that doesn't sound like you're complaining to your spouse, significant other, family, whatever, can do wonders for your soul. And then once your soul and your mind starts to adjust to that, it starts to change the way that your subconscious works. And then your subconscious starts to change what it's feeding the body. And then the body starts to change and reducing the stress that is causing the imbalances, that is causing the symptoms, that is causing the chronic issue. So just think about that. In my early career, and this is one of the things that I joke about. Before I was in wellness, I was in tech. I was a systems analyst and database designer. So that's why I have a very analytical brain. So I laugh and joke and say, I just switched from, computer systems to body systems, because the brain is basically a computer and the body is a series of networks. So, so I will often use my analytical nature when I'm dealing with, physical issues when I'm helping clients. And part of that is being able to break down and backtrack a problem. Okay. And so that's kind of what I'm trying to do here, is trying to help people understand that this feeds into this, which feeds into this, which feeds into this, which feeds into this. And if you want to help this big thing over here, you can start small.
Exactly.
And that small thing that you can start with really can be just sitting down with pen and paper and crayons or whatever, and just doodling and taking care of yourself and letting out the pent up emotions and letting the camouflage down.
Go. Yeah.
And letting all that stuff that is built up inside, that is trying to get out, that is exploding, that is coming out in physical pain,
Yeah.
art can do that. Creativity can do that.
It's so simple. It's so simple. It's, it's crazy when you think about how the simplicity of it, and yet it works so magically well,
Yeah.
And that's why I called when I founded Heart Art, which is painting from here, painting from your heart center to express what you're feeling. And I called it Heart Art Magic because the magic is my acronym for my ability to go into my center, because that's where magic happens. The healing happens inside of us, not outside. It's inside. And
Yes.
just giving yourself that permission and the ability to just say, okay, I've had enough. I'm not doing this to myself anymore.
Yeah.
For me to be free.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Mm.
All right. Well, we've explored a lot of topics
Yeah.
here, and we've given you lots of tools that you can use. Very simple too. Sometimes the simplest things does the greatest good. And so I encourage you to find some sort of way that you can express yourself. And that's what this is all about. This is about expressing yourself. But not only about expressing yourself, but also self-awareness to know yourself as well.
And
Because
know that you can. Know that you can do it.
exactly, exactly, exactly. All right. So, Marianne, I am going to let you have the last word. So, what would you like to leave us with today?
Well, I was just thinking about this today. Sometimes when we find ourselves in a difficult situation, difficulties can be opportunities.
Yeah.
We can turn them into opportunities rather than think about, oh no, look what's happening now. Instead, saying, okay, well, what can I do with this? What good situation can come from this?
Yeah.
And look, I remember Helen Keller. She used to say, when one door of opportunity closes, another one opens. But we're so
Yeah.
busy looking at the closed door, we don't see the one that's been opened. So
Right.
I think when we're faced with a difficulty, look for what is the good in this. There is something, because with every negative, there's a positive. So look for the positive out of whatever challenges you might face. So turn difficulties into opportunities, look for a way and a solution, and you will find it because your mind is now open to knowing that there is a solution with every opportunity and every difficulty.
Awesome. Well, thank you for that final word. All right. So, that is it for today's show. I'm happy you guys joined us. And if you're watching this later on the replay, thank you for watching the replay as well. Just as a reminder, Marianne will be coming on with me again. She is going to be one of my recurring guests. So I encourage you guys to come out and watch our show and learn all kinds of stuff about your innate intuition and going within and all of that stuff. It won't always be about art. Today was about art, but we will always have some nuggets. I call this the mind portion of the body, mind, and spirit. So, although it has a little bit of body and has a little bit of spirit in there too, but this is all about the mind portion of the body, mind, and spirit. So, thank you again once for joining us, and we'll see you guys next time. Bye.
Hi, thank you.
This episode is brought to you by Living Naturally for Life and Heart Art Magic. Comment, like, subscribe.